But we will oppose this totally untargeted scheme for the very wealthiest, and we will put this measure to a vote in Parliament next week.
Well, hello then, I do hope you're all well. I'll hopefully be able to help me on this video. Now, this was the continued debate of the budget within the House of Commons yesterday, as Shadow Chancellor Rachal Reeves mentioned about having a vote on the lifetime allowance next week. Conservative MP Theresa Villiers, I think her name was, asked a question about this subject.
Now, Labour recognises that the mess that the government has got into with our NHS workforce planning, and we have called for changes to doctors' pensions. But we will oppose this totally untargeted scheme for the very wealthiest, and we will put this measure to a vote in Parliament next week. Yeah. And I defy members on the benches opposite to vote in favour of a policy that they know will do absolutely nothing to lift the living standards of their constituents. Now, I will in one moment. Last autumn, we saw the Chancellor of the day announce reckless tax cuts to help the richest then too. Why does this keep happening, Mr Deputy Speaker? Well, the reason that the Tories get the wrong answers is because they have the wrong priorities for our country and the wrong analysis of the economy. Wealth doesn't just trickle down from the top. It comes from the efforts of millions of working people and thousands of businesses, and that is Labour's approach to growth. I'll happily give way to the Right Honourable Lady.
She's denouncing the abolition of the lifetime allowance, but this was actually something that never applied under Labour at all. So if Labour is so concerned about its loss, why didn't they introduce it in the first place?
Well, Gordon Brown introduced a lifetime allowance for pension savings, as I'm sure the Right Honourable Lady remembers. But the point here is about priorities. For all of our constituents, there is an average tax increase per household of £650 starting next month, with the freezing of the tax thresholds, the increase in council tax, and yet the choice yesterday was to provide the only permanent tax cut in the budget for the people who have already got pension savings of more than £1 million. And I just don't believe, and I think honourable members, if they think about it, from right across the House, know too that that is not the priority for their constituents. Yeah.
Now, there are over $60 billion in yearly hidden subsidies for pension payments, at least half of which go to the top 10% of income earners and include a sizable share for the top 1%. It's something chartered accountant and political economist Richard Murphy has long decried. And on Wednesday, that figure was raised by £1 billion in order to purportedly rehire 15,000 workers at a cost of £66,000 per position per year, similar to the rise in the maximum annual pension contribution for £40,000 to £60,000, which he views as totally absurd, saying it's possible that the junior physician's pay dispute might have been settled for under £1 billion, but the opportunity was lost, he said. He also viewed that this budget is for the wealthy. Shocker, eh? But apparently, I did have a little look around, and Gordon Brown did introduce something like this in, I think it was 2006. Thing is, Richard Murphy also wrote about what he took from Wednesday's budget, and he said there were 5 things he took from it, and I will leave the article in the description box below for you to all read, because for me, for somebody who's a bit of a melt when it this sort of stuff, you know, terrible at maths, he puts it down in simple forms for idiots like me to understand. And as I said, I'm useless numbers, figures, and I find it all confusing. I end up, you know, with the rabbit in there, the lights look when it comes to stuff like maths. But when it comes to the vote on the abolition of the lifetime allowance next week, is interesting for me. How I try to get my head around it, but as someone who was bottom of the class at maths, as I said, the more I read, the more confused I became. Sorry, I did try, but when it comes to maths, and especially chemistry, my brain would not allow me to understand it. But my instincts were telling me that abolishing this only benefited those with huge wadges of lovely cash, or the very rich. Am I right? Sorry if I sound a bit thick, but let me know down below and help. A thick northerner with a even thicker northern accent. And I shall bid you farewell and take care, my friends.